Things First is sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Welcome back. Time for a little Four Things First, a collection of things we saw, we loved, and Brandon, you loved your Super Bowl team staying undefeated.
94 yards, 96 yards, it doesn't matter. Russell Wilson, let him cook. Look, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the entire world is shifting to this whole betting thing and betting against the spread and understanding, you know, the different whatever. But look, I picked the Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers to make it to the Super Bowl. And that was a plus 100,000, Nick. You're a career bettor. Do you understand those type of odds? They're 9-0 right now. It's looking very sweet.
It's not good to count your money in week 5. I do know that. The odds are great. We might be a little premature in paying out that bet.
They look phenomenal. They look phenomenal.
They look great.
Let Russ cook.
All right. Oh, he cooked. Clever call from Clemson.
Jenna, if something looks too good to be true, it probably is. The Clemson offensive line totally frozen there. Miami says, oh, look at this. These guys forgot to play. No, they didn't, guys. It's a trick. When 5 guys are sitting there totally frozen, they all didn't just forget to play. You're getting tricked. Next time this happens, it's a wonderful call. Next time this happens, just be aware. All 5 guys probably didn't miss the play call. You're probably getting tricked.
I love it. All right, little heat wave.
Yeah, I want to give all the credit in the world to Jimmy Butler. He was spectacular this entire postseason. He was out of this world in Game 5, which all of us, myself included, thought was going to be the Lakers' coronation game. And he elevated himself amongst NBA superstars, which is why it's such a shame that this postseason, James Harden, Giannis, Kawhi, and a dozen other guys actually had better legacy moments than Jimmy did. Because as we all know, the rules are this: winning a title is the best thing you can do. And the very worst thing you can do is carry an inferior team to the finals and lose. So Jimmy Butler, now 0-1 in the finals, massive legacy hit. Giannis, who Jimmy beat in round 2, totally unscathed. But Jimmy, those finals losses are the only thing that counts, evidently. So bad job by you carrying your team this far. Should have gone out a round earlier, buddy. Sorry, but those are the rules, Jenna.
I like it. All right, I'd like to throw a name in the hat for Comeback Player of the Year, Alex Smith. Alex Smith took the field yesterday for Washington when Kyle Allen went down. Walked onto an NFL field for the first time in 2 years. Back in 2018, there's his wife and his kids are on hand. Back in 2018, he experienced one of the most gruesome, gut-wrenching injuries you will ever see. Spent 2 years coming back from it. 17 surgeries, had an infection, got sepsis. They said they were going to have to amputate his leg. They thought he might never walk again. He fought his way all the way back, rejoined the team, actually took an NFL snap. His wife was in tears. It was such a heartwarming moment in a season already marred by so many injuries. It is just so refreshing to have seen this incredible journey from Alex Smith, and so we want to say welcome back, Alex Smith. Something that I think we are all hoping we're going to be able to say to Dak Prescott, which brings us to this next story. The Cowboys quarterback suffering a compound fracture and dislocated his right ankle on a running play in the third quarter of Dallas's win over the Giants yesterday. He knew right away that it was bad. Carted off the field with tears in his eyes. He was rushed into surgery last night. His season is now over. The recovery timetable for an injury like that expected to be 4 to 6 months. Here is head coach Mike McCarthy on his quarterback.
I feel terrible for him. He was having a tremendous year, just, my short time working with him. He's made such an impression on me, and he's, clearly the leader of this football team, and I have no doubt that he'll bounce back from this, and this will be all part of his great story. This will just be another chapter in a great story. He's a fine young man and an outstanding quarterback.
Dak's brother, Tad, posting this picture before Dak went into surgery last night. Looked like the quarterback was in good spirits after just a horrific way to end his season. Mike Vick back with us now. Mike, what does Dak's future with the Cowboys look like after suffering a season-ending injury yesterday?
I think Dak's future is bright with the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's time for him to take his, go through these next couple steps and whatever his rehab is going to be, take his rehab serious and get ready for a strong 2021. That's about all you can do right now. He has respect from his coaches, his teammates. As you can see, Mike McCarthy, has that respect for Dak and loves to work with this guy. So, that's not going to change. And, I think in terms of a long-term deal and money for Dak, I think that's going to come. I think he's earned his way in his spot and solidified himself as a Dallas Cowboys quarterback for the next 4 to 5 years. I mean, who else are you going to go find? You're not going to go with a guy like Andy Dalton, who has the resume like we talked about earlier, but just a tad bit older. And Dak's younger. He has a lot of football left in him and a lot to learn. So, this is going to work out for Dak. It's a minor setback for a major comeback, I think, and I look forward to chronicling his progress as he go, through this trying time, but all for the better.
Because Dak's a quarterback, he'll be fine. He'll recover from this. But I want to go through my reaction yesterday when I was watching it live. I was sitting in the kitchen at the counter with my family, my wife, my 3 kids, and I screamed when I saw this. And then I saw his leg hanging to the side, and I screamed even louder. My poor little baby started crying. Ziggy, she's 5 years old. She's like, "Mommy, is he going to be okay?" And my wife was like, "Yeah, he'll be fine. This is the same injury that Daddy had. Remember, he had surgery, and then he was fine, was able to walk." But I want to go through my history, my injury history in my career. Right big toe, had surgery on that. My left ankle, which ended my career, similar to Dak's, but it wasn't a compound fracture. Had surgery on that. Snapped my deltoid. It's something in your ankle that it's almost impossible to snap. Then I had a left hamstring, grade 3. Left quad, grade 3. 2 left hip surgeries. A right hip surgery. I had fractured ribs. I had a right forearm. I had 1 concussion. That's almost 10 major injuries in 13 years. This is why you cannot take on all this risk. So, yes, it's devastating to the Dallas Cowboys. It's devastating to Dak Prescott, but he will be okay. But when you think about the business of football, you cannot take on this risk. My agent, we used to talk about this all the time. Going into that last year, you got to find a way to get a deal done. Because if you walk on that field and you snap your ankle and you're not the quarterback, you're not going to get a deal. Well, a lot of times we see these type of injuries and you see guys come back on a league minimum deal. But Dak's going to get the deal that he wants. He always wanted that 3 to 4 year short-term deal so he can get back to the table. So for me, the first thing I thought about was how devastating this was. Yes, he will. And 2, I thought about how this risk, it can't be just on the player. And Dak, I think he made a bad mistake because he could have forced their hand to get a long-term deal done.
So, Brandon, here's the thing. I would agree if it were any position but the quarterback. But listen, there's only 3 ways that this can go after this year. One way is the Cowboys franchise tag him again, which was on the board either way, and that's $38 million. The other way is the Cowboys walk away from him and just say, you know what, go become a free agent. If that were to happen, it won't, but if it were to, he would get $100 million guaranteed even after this injury. In a world where Carson Wentz got $128 million after suffering multiple injuries, having only played 3 years. In a world where Phillip Rivers gets $25 million for 1 year at his age and his skill level, where teams, fall all over themselves to just keep giving Nick Foles money. Dak, if he were to be a free agent, he would become one of the highest paid players in the history of the league even after this injury. And the third option is he and the Cowboys end up meeting somewhere in the middle on the negotiation they had before. So I would agree that your approach, Brandon, of never play your final year, never play your walk year, make them give you a new deal, is the right approach for essentially everyone in the league except for quarterbacks. because the rules are just different with them because there is such a scarcity of guys that can play the position at a high level. And Dak was playing, even though he was turning the ball over a little too much, he was playing at such a high level this year that I'm not worried, Mike, at all about Dak's long-term finances. Now, how much will this injury affect his trajectory as a player? That's yet to be seen. But, Mike, I think he's going to get a massive deal if he wants one, or he'll get the $38 million franchise tag and then be a true free agent after that.
And I'll say this, after I broke my ankle in 2003, and I won't go through my laundry list of injuries like Brandon did, because, this segment this segment will last for about 15 minutes. But I will say that Dak, in terms of the injury and sitting out now and, having some time to think about what has transpired up until this point, even after my injury and looking back, I came back a better player. I came back a better quarterback. I came back a better teammate. And you learn to appreciate the things that's been taken away from you and the journey that's been traveled. And I think that's what happened with Dak. I think in 2021, he'll come back, he'll be better. He'll look at the talent around him. He'll look at the circumstances. He'll have a better relationship with the coach, have more respect from the players. And I just feel like he's going to come back strong. I know he's going to come back stronger because I was in my fourth season when I came back, and the sky was the limit, and I laid it all out on the line, and just certainly had a different appreciation for the game of football, and I think that's going to happen with Dak Prescott.
Mike, specifically, when you came back, what was the one thing you said you had a better appreciation for your teammates? Was there one thing that you saw that you're like, oh, okay, I didn't used to do this, but now I'm going to? Was there one specific thing that you could see Dak Prescott adding to his game after this?
Well, I can't speak in terms of his game because I don't know, the ins and outs and the nuances of their offense and what he's been asked or what that all entails. But I did sit back and watch, our backup quarterback, Doug Johnson, develop relationships and friendships with players that, sometimes I didn't even talk to. And, I wanted that. I wanted to be a better teammate. I wanted guys to, not only hold me accountable, but, look at me as a true leader. And I learned to really be that guy who had a voice and stepped up, in terms of just team camaraderie. And, it felt good. It felt better than actually going out throwing touchdown passes and rushing for 100 yards in a game. I wanted nothing more than just to have strong relationships and be, accountable for the guys who I knew would go to bat for me.
Yeah, and just to add on that, Wilds and Mike, there's something that happens mentally when you're in the last phase of recovery because you can't go full speed. So when he gets an opportunity to take the field and they still have restrictions around him and they're like, you can't cut, you can't go full speed right now, he's going to have to slow the game up. And there's something interesting that happens when you actually slow it up. You start finding that the game slows down and you can make decisions faster and you're a better decision maker. So when you think about Dak's recovery, that last phase is going to be critical, and something magical can happen in that moment where he drops back and he's going to start seeing coverage a little faster. He's going to be making those decisions, getting to his check down or getting to his number one faster. And I think that's what we fail to realize sometimes when guys come back from major injuries and are like, why is this guy better? Is because you have to really lean into those mental reps because you can't go full speed. So if he does that, if he takes care of his body, but mentally he stays close to the game and he goes into those meeting rooms and he acts as if he's going to play, he'll come back so much smarter because we've seen how talented he is physically and mentally because he's making some key decisions. But like, this guy's playing lights out right now. If this was a 4-1 team, he can easily be number one in the MVP discussion.
All right, again, Dak Prescott done for the season. We'll see how that all fares. Michael Vick, thank you so much, as always, for joining us. LeBron, as we switch gears, taking home title number 4 last night. Check out the King FaceTiming his mama during the celebration.
Mama! Mama! Hey, mama. I had to leave the locker room. They going crazy in there right now. I had to get away.